JS Report, we're back, and nobody's really thinking about football right about now. I think a lot of people are thinking about 700 home runs with Albert Pujols. People are thinking about 62 in one season from Mr. Judge. But I guess we can focus on football, but if you see a baseball hat or two around here, baseball's on top of the mind. But let's jump into the JS Report.
Welcome back to Week 7 edition of the JS Report. Guys, Thomas brought up a great point. Is it still football season to a lot of people? I think so, because it's crunch time for a lot of teams going into district playoff rankings. Will they travel 3 hours away? Will they stay home? Will they even host a playoff game? That is the question of this week, because there is some games that a lot of people might be interested in from last week. First off, I want to give a lot of credit to Coach Bruce Marshall. Hey, Thomas, we got to talk about golf. Bruce Marshall and the Millington Trojans golf team went to the state tournament this week. Congratulations to Andrew and Matthew Westmoreland. They had a four-way tie for 5th place, and their freshman sister, Allie, finished 31st. So congratulations to Bruce Marshall and the Trojans on a great season of golf for the Millington Trojans.
Read more about them this week in this week's Millington Star.
.com. And then I want to give a lot of credit to Braden Ragland, who came in crunch time for the Bartlett Painters on offense this past week against Houston. 13-22 for 236 and 3 touchdowns. And his biggest targets were Deshaun Cochran and Jeremiah Reed. They both had a touchdown reception. You know, another team a lot of people are still talking about is the Collierville Dragons. They had their backup quarterback helped them lead a good win over Germantown. And that player is Logan Johns. He went 16-23 for 202 and 3 touchdowns in the 26 win over Germantown. And is Millington clicking on all cylinders at the right time as well? McCoy Pugh, 11-16 for 122, 21 rushes for 133, and a successful district win, 14-0 over Ripley. And defense could possibly win state or win championships this year for a lot of teams. Collierville's defense, 5 guys combined had 23 tackles and held Germantown to 6 points. St. George's got their first district win of the year against North Point, holding them to 14 points. So congratulations to Coach Light and company in that one. And then Bartlett holding Cisse, the running back for Houston, 52 rushing yards and 65 receiving yards, and Millington holding Ripley to 0 points. So congratulations to those players throughout the week. Guys, that's my second point this week. I want to give a special shout out to the St. Benedict alum and head coach Joey Magnifico on his first high school coaching win over Memphis East last week. They're off this week. They got Bluff City next week. So maybe the Eagles can get another win under their belt under Coach Magnifico and the Eagles, just to get them a little bit more momentum going into maybe the postseason or just the last few games of the regular season in that tough district as it already is from top to bottom. So Coach Joey Magnifico, congratulations on your first career head coaching win, and congratulations to your Eagles as well throughout a great win as well over Memphis East last week.
Hey, as you can see, John spent some time on the campus of his alma mater, Bartlett High School, and caught up with some of the key players in this special season for the Bartlett Panthers. Man, after that big win against Houston, they should be in a pretty good mood. So let's go and see what John found out at Bartlett.
As another JS Report interview for the West End Media, I have Mr. Devin Rutherford. Devin, thank you for your time. Devin, talk about the season so far. Like these guys brought up, the Hoover mindset got us ready for our tough 6A schedule. But talk about the season so far with me.
Most definitely. Knew it was gonna take some bumps over the season. coming back off a 5-5 season. We had it in us. We was on a revenge tour. Coach Lance set up the Hoover game. We wanted that. We knew that it was going to prepare us playing one of the top teams in Alabama. Coming back to Memphis, but our schedule is not easy playing in like the toughest region in Memphis. So, back-to-back games, Lausanne, Germantown, that really prepared us. Hoover really prepared us for that. And that's all he preached was preparing us because, we go out there, don't look at the scoreboard. We come back to Memphis, we played them, and it showed off. It proved when we prepared right, took down #1 team in Memphis twice.
Me personally, I've always been in favor of tough schedules. So I got to give Coach Tucker and the coaching staff a lot of credit of putting that tough schedule together for y'all. Just talk about your Houston game last week with me. A good win at Houston over the Houston Mustangs.
Oh, that was a good feeling. They came off with a great win versus Germantown. Great win, and in my opinion, they were the most dynamic offense we were going to play this whole season. And we knew that we had to take away, Brock Weiss, of course. We had to take away David Cecil, and we did that. We kept Brock out the end zone. We kept Damon under 100 yards and 1 touchdown, and our defense showed up, and our offense, they play out. Everybody likes to talk about, our offense, how they don't, sometimes put up points, but they let people know that they're here, and I think the defense did too. Kind of underrated. We're showing people we're here though.
How hard is it to prep for maybe like a dual threat quarterback in Chandler Day at Houston?
It's tough, because you got to worry about is he gonna scroll out. But our coach teaches us. Coach LA, always keep your eyes on your man, because when the quarterback breaks contains, you never know what a wideout can do. You can go up, you can do whatever, because it becomes free fall at that point. So when you prepare for a quarterback who can escape, he can run, he can throw, you got to keep your eyes. You got to be mentally locked in. That's when the mental part of the game comes in. You can't give up any mental mistakes.
Talk about the road ahead with the Cordova Wolves.
Cordova, we're going to go in, we're going to train like any other game. We're not going to, look at records. We don't do that because once we lose in their position, we're not going to look at records. We're not going to do none of that because we want to break the scoreboard.
I've always got to give a lot of credit to Coach Matt Gore, the defense coordinator for y'all as well, because he's a Bartlett alum, first of all. And I also want to say because he knows what y'all can go through with being a former alumni on this football field as well. But he's also got his guys ready like y'all as well for that tough schedule, for that league play as well. Because he's been a state champion himself at Horn Lake High School. So guys, good luck the rest of the way. Devin, thank you for your time. And look forward to seeing you on the rest of the way. Ready? All right, Coach L.A. Owens with the Bartlett High School Panthers on the JS report this week for the West 10 Media. Coach Owens, talk about your season so far with the Bartlett High School Panthers.
It's been a phenomenal season. Starting out in the off season, we came in with their mindset that we had a really good chance of being #1 in our region. When St. Benedict dropped us off the schedule, Coach Lance came up and said, "Hey, y'all want to go to Hoover?" And at first thought everybody's like, "Hoover?" We're like, why not? So if you want to be the best, you got to play the best at least. We went down there and took a whooping, to say the least. But the guys bounced back and learned from it, and that was the objective going into it. Let's play those guys and see, playing in this 6A region here is tough anyway, so we might as well get a good taste of what it's like, even as far as the playoff goes as well.
Yeah, I've always told other coaches I respect the living crap out of them just because they play these tough teams like non-conference to get their guys ready for the regular season. Like you said, just the 6A in general, tough as it is, and just getting ready for the postseason. In other words, too.
Yes.
But just talk about the Houston victory last Friday night and the huge game over at their place.
That game is one of those things where as you sit down the week before, you watch the film, we come together as coaches on Monday and say, this is our plan. And it's one of those things where you're like, well, you always think your plan works, but it's one of those things like, well, we have a plan, and we feel like this plan should actually work. And going into it, you think that, but then when we get out there and the kids execute it to perfection, defensively, we went at each other all week with the offense, and that's the other thing, iron sharpens iron. Our defense has been playing really well, and our offense has also been playing really well. So when we're going against each other, we feel like that's the best competition we're going to get. any Friday we come out and play, and the guys came out and we did just that. They had 69 rushing yards after coming out, having 238 the week before. I thought the front line did a phenomenal job of boxing the guy in, and we did all we could on the back end as far as having a plan to slow Brock down, which is all you can do with a guy like that. He's a phenomenal talent, but everybody did their job. Linebackers fitted and kept number 10 for him, the running back, kept him in a box a little bit, and we just fed off that and played. And the offense, like I said, Braylon, you know, he's a phenomenal kid. He comes out, man, there ain't a ball he can't throw. And with that, when we can do that, we can beat them in the air and we can beat them on the ground at times, because they kind of stacked the box and slowed our run game down, and Braylon just stepped up and made throw after throw after throw to every other receiver we had.
You know, I also thought y'all did a great job on Chandler today, a sophomore quarterback for the Houston Mustangs, who's kind of like a dual threat quarterback and two-sport athlete for the Mustangs. But when you hold him to less than 100 yards rushing, because you know he's got that ability to run the ball, that's a good accomplishment for your defense as well.
Yes, and that was the thing with the linebackers. You know, the D-line was committed to stopping the run, the running back, and the linebackers were standing home on the jet sweep, the Auburn look they were giving. As long as we stay home and don't vacate the middle on that jet sweep, linebackers did a phenomenal job of reading their keys, staying put, and I'm wrapping him up because he's also a big kid, man. He plays a lot like Tebow. That's how he plays the game. So that was big for us.
All right, Coach Owens, this week y'all got Cordova Wolves. To me, I think it's an improved Cordova team from last year. It might not show it on paper with their record or in the standings, but this team has been showing a lot of fight game in and game out against a lot of decent teams.
Yeah, it's going to be like any other week. You know, it's one of those things. Well, for me and for us as coaches in general, we're going to plan for them just like we plan for Hoover. You know, it doesn't matter who we're playing. We can't get that mindset because in the playoffs you definitely don't know what you're going to get yourself into. So we're going to come in tomorrow. We're going to watch film. We're going to get our game plan down, and we're going to come out. We're going to come out at practice, and hopefully the guys are going to commit to the plan. And that's all there is to say about that, man. It's just as long as you prepare, regardless of who your opponent is. So that's really our main focus right now, is coming out week in and week out and having a plan, and the kids being able to execute it.
All right, Coach, good luck the rest of the way, and I appreciate your time again.
Oh, thank you.
Guys, this week on the JS Report, I have Marco Tyson and Ramad Rakin. Guys, thank y'all for the interview today.
Thank you for having us.
First of all, I know we talked about me and Coach Owens before y'all came, but the tough schedule early on in the season has paid off so far, in my opinion. I know y'all played Hoover earlier this season, and that kind of getting y'all ready for the tougher latter fact in the middle of the season so far against these quality 6A schools. Go ahead.
Yeah, when we played Hoover, it kind of did get us ready, because you know there's like a lot of people say there's top tier competition. So you know playing them really gave us the look of how teams are really going to look. So we have to really adapt off that game for pretty much the whole season. We just gotta keep attacking. We wish we could play them again. So probably improved a little bit, but playing them was needed.
Rankin, what do you think?
Overcoming adversity as a defense, because our defense is,
So you think there's basically thinking maybe like a defense that nobody really talks about across the city that could be advertised, maybe?
yeah, like how we play defense.
Because me personally, fans, this defensive crew that Bartlett has this year is one of the best teams I've been watching over the last 3 years. The reason I brought last 3 years up is 3 years ago y'all went 10-2. Nobody probably, I know with it being a COVID year and whatnot, but nobody really thought how far Bartlett could go because the years passed. That makes sense. But y'all are 20-9 the last 3 years. Just talk about how important that success is going to last week against Houston, when Houston actually had a good win over Germantown the week before. Talk about that huge victory at Houston.
That victory was just kind of a wake-up call for everybody. Obviously dropping the game to Germantown. Many people, fell back on us because we beat Los Angeles the week before. So losing to Germantown kind of backed up everybody up off of us. But you know, when they count us out, we keep going. We do us. We prepare for the next game. That's what we did against Houston, and that's how we executed and won.
How do y'all actually, I know y'all been practicing this, like maybe against coaches in practice. How do y'all, I'm not saying try to support a game plan for other teams, but how do y'all actually prep for like a 6'10" wide receiver in Brock Lions?
Well, first thing, confidence. You got to be confident. You don't, being a DB, nobody can catch the ball. It's the kind of mentality thing. You got to want it more than anybody. But usually, you know, we worked a lot on just physical, which they physical anyways. We physical as DBs anyways. So that's really part of the game plan. So we just took that as our advantage the whole game.
And Rick, how did you feel like, I know you got that pass breakup at the end against Brock. How did that feel?
That felt good. I gave that one to Coach LA because it was great preparation. He told me I had to put hands on him, everything. He told me that week. I applied on Friday. We talk about technique all the time, and that's one thing that I look up to when Coach LA. He likes everything perfect, so I like trying.
All right, guys. Also, Cordova Wolves coming down this Friday. Talk about, I know a lot of people look at records, but I'm not saying y'all do by no means. But to me, this is a dangerous game coming up just because Cordova is an improved football team from last year. What do y'all think about the matchup?
Well, we're not going to overlook them or underlook them. We're just going to play football because at the end of the day, we don't care about the records. You know, we're all the same once we step on the field. One football team going against another. We'll see who the best one is. So I look forward to playing Cordova, and it's going to be a good matchup.
Mr. Ricken?
We treat everyone the same. So every single week, we just apply. We don't treat we do the same preparation as we do if we was going against Germantown or Hoover. We apply the same thing.
All right, guys. Look forward to seeing y'all the rest of the season. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
All right, guys, my third point, like we just talked about in the opening, is a lot of crunch time for a lot of teams. Let's do my look ahead this week. Pure Academy's at Bartlett High School, Pure Academy's at Briarcrest in the non-district game there. Covington's at Bolivar. Kingsbury is at Brighton. And to me, that could be a key game as well for both teams. It's Bartlett at Cordova. It could be like a trap game for the Bartlett Panthers just because Cordova's record the last two seasons, I know some people might have looked at Cordova's record, you know, say, hey, they're lightly, but to me, this is an improved Cordova bunch. FACS is at Fayette Academy, another key region game in that one. Arlington's at Germantown. Collierville at Houston on a Thursday night this week, not on a Friday night this week because the fall break is next week for them. Basically, I guess they just want to get a day early and go see out some football there at Houston. To me, another game that's being played on Thursday night, not in our coverage area basically, but the thing is they're playing the teams in our coverage area. The Raleigh Egypt Pharaohs at Sheffield High School in the key game there. Munford at Southwind, the game I believe Thomas Sellers might be at this week. It could be basically whoever wins the first place battle line in that one. To me, it's going to be a defensive affair because a lot of teams like Southwind and Munford are basically better on defense this year. Harding at Tipton Rosemark, and then White Station at Whitehaven. All right, guys, the fourth point this week I just want to bring up is crunch time for a lot of golfers this week in Sevierville, Tennessee. They're finishing it up this week. As a matter of fact, they're finishing it up today and tomorrow, I believe, a little bit. And if anybody wants to go out and see some district tournament soccer, go out to Millington High School and support the ladies' Trojans if they can, as well as they're hosting the district tournament on Thursday and Friday this week. So, guys, we'll see y'all next week for the JS report as well.
So we conclude the JS report this week with a look at the Dynamic Physical Therapy Power 10. And once again, Dynamic Physical Therapy, not only helping high school students, elderly, anybody that's trying to recover from injury or a setback, in two locations, once again, 8586 Highway 51 North in Millington and 973 Highway 51 North, Suite 12 in Covington. So go see the great people there at Dynamic Physical Therapy when you hit that hiccup in the road of life. But we get to our Power 10 going into Week 8. At number 10, the Arlington Tigers at 4-3. They have a matchup with Germantown coming up. At number 9, Christian Brothers, also 4-3. They got the big showdown with MUS in their near future. Millington 4-3, big win over Ripley, 14-0. Defense is looking good. Offense is improving steadily. Number 7, MUS at 5-2. They're going to see their rivals, the Brothers, for basically the battle of supremacy for the private schools in the Memphis area. Always a great matchup when those two hit the field. Number 6, Germantown. They got up pretty high in our rankings the last couple weeks. 2 setbacks. They'll try to get things back on the right track when they take on Arlington. And then our top 5. At number 5, the Houston Mustangs, 5-2 as well. Big showdown with Collierville coming up. That could really be the tell of the tape who's going to win Region 8 6A. But another team that's looking to also win is our number 14, the Bartlett Panthers, 5-2. Got a matchup with Cordova coming up, an improving Cordova team like John said. But Bartlett is a much improved team as well. Number 3, the Covington Chargers, 5-1. They ran into a great Munford team at the beginning of the year, but they've been rolling ever since. They have Bolivar Central coming up. They're sitting in first place in Region 7-3A. Number 2, the Munford Cougars, a Region 8-5A power. But Southwind wants to challenge them for that, and I will be at that game this week to see who's going to be first place in that league. And I think the winner of the game pretty much will pencil themselves in at number 1. But our Cougars are 7-0. And number 1, still undefeated, our defending champions, the Collierville Dragons, 7-0. They have that tough matchup with Houston down the road. So that's our Dynamic Power 10, and we'll catch you next week with the JS Report.